Fake Safety Podcast with Vance and Bart.
It's a trap. There's no comfort fitting in a fake safety that no one believes in.
Is he still alive, Mr. Miyagi? He'd be old as fuck now, right?
I feel vaguely like he was a COVID death.
Fucking nay. Goddamn. Got him and Herman Cain? Or was that the remdesivir? They got Herman Cain.
I forget.
Pretty sure it was, they put it on his death certificate. Fauci. Cause of death.
Speaking of, how do you feel about the passing of Dr. Fauci? Is it bittersweet?
You know, I feel like I'm Inspector Gadget. Or he's Inspector Gadget. And I'm Dr. Claw. Now I can just take over the world. Because he's not going to be driving Penny around anywhere. And how boring is that going to be?
So you're going to miss Fauci.
I am. I'm a little torn up about it. It's sad. I mean, somebody who devoted his life to profits and forced drug experiments on humanity, you know, and manipulating press and all that, like, to lose somebody so dedicated to that craft is just, I mean, how do you bounce back from that? How does this world bounce back from that? I mean, who's going to be making sure that poor black people in third world countries are exterminated at a rapidly increasing rate? Who's going to do that without Fauci? I mean, it's not something I couldn't do that. I'd feel awful.
Well, and where are all the royalties from these patents going to go?
Not to me, but I mean, I'm sure he's got some offshore accounts that go to certain people. I remember wherever Epstein is now, probably some of it's going to him. Probably a lot of it's going to his charity, Support the Belief in the Moon Landing charity, that nonprofit that he started. Hillary, I'm sure, is going to get some of it, right? I mean, $300 million. They've built 2 houses in Rwanda. But if you think about it, how hard is it to get a builder out there? And of course, it's a U.S.-based charity, so they probably got to fly out tons of inspectors to inspect everything.
Well, it's got to pass code.
It's got to. You can't have these people living in something that doesn't pass code, whatever that means. So it needs more money. So I imagine some of it's going there. So Fauci himself, though, that's the thing I'm really concerned about, though, is like, without him pushing this whole AIDS thing, what if they figure out that AIDS is like just that chronic fatigue disease that it is for straight people, and that it's not a death sentence at all as long as you don't give somebody a deadly drug? I mean, that entire industry will be gone. Think about all the AIDS like vaccines and shit you see on TV still.
I mean, the Gates Foundation, right? Like, where are they going to get all of the money that he siphoned off into that foundation in order to do research in Africa?
I mean, there is that girl who's kind of towed the line that at the CDC, but I think she was kind of a fall girl. They put her in charge, and it was like when they were slowing down the whole propaganda thing. I don't know, man. I imagine they'll find somebody though. The thing is, there's a pretty good incentive to be in Fauci, is that you get paid a lot to do that, and your whole thing is you decide where money goes, so you get kickbacks. Find somebody like a Ted Bundy or somebody like that.
At this point, who hasn't started Googling, is Fauci dead?
Oh no, we just meant like the belief in the shit that he says. April Fools.
You've all been April Fools.
Yeah. Except for the whole fag thing. That's real. You can't say. You can say it. You're not in Florida.
You can't say gay.
I cannot say.
April fags.
So, the real episode,
Or was that real and this is fake?
and you'll never know. Upside down, inside
This
out.
is the real fake safety.
Compliance. You know, like when a state passes a law where you can't say a certain word, so you have to say another word. What does that get you? So, yeah, when they say you can't have a magazine for your weapon that holds more than 10 rounds, and you go, okay, and you turn it in, and then you say you own a company and you want to really show that you have like a buyback at your company, and you turn them in, and you like, my company turned in all these magazines that had around, held more than 10 rounds. And you get in the newspaper, and you're like hugging and, smooching on the neck of the governor or whatever. What does that get you?
Well, one would hope that it gets you some sort of loyalty in return, right?
Yeah, you would think that. I think it gets you some short term. There are definitely, I see benefits. Like, say companies are under attack by a politician at a certain time, and then they do something that obviously that politician is pushing for or supports, and all of a sudden, like in New York now, you can have a big gulp because, and they're not going after you. You're not causing everybody's death in New York anymore because you complied. So there are those cases, but I think in the long run it doesn't get you jack shit, because the moment that the politicians or the people in power find it beneficial to attack you again, they will. Your big gulp will become the bad guy thing again, or as long as it's politically beneficial to the person in charge. You look at the situation with Kroger. Kroger actually forced its employees to get vaccinated if they wanted to continue working for them. So you're talking about children, cashiers, restocking people. They're children, a lot of them, who need and want their job to pay for the gas in their new car, save for a car, whatever all the shit that we did when we were. And they're fed all the BS, and they decide unwillingly, but willingly, I guess, but under duress to get a foreign fluid injected in their body. I like to remind people that the Me Too moment was not that long ago when people were screaming about people of authority at companies saying, "Hey, you wanna let's get it on, and I'll put you in this new role, and you'll get notoriety. You might become a big star, right? If you let me put my fluid into you." Right? What Kroger did was say, "No, we're not going to let you be a star, put you in a huge role or it might advance your career. We're going to let you continue being a bag boy if I can put my fluid in you." So that's what Kroger did. That's compliance with what the state wanted them to do. The moment inflation hit the food industry, like the food sales, there were specifically articles attacking Kroger for high food prices. That it wasn't inflation, it was just greedy corporations like Kroger who were hitting record profits. Never mind the fact that the dollar's not worth as much anymore, so that number, not necessarily record profits. The value of that dollar may be less than that overall amount, may be less than what the profits were before. But they weren't taking that into consideration. That they were making Kroger the bad guy to hide inflation, to politically hide it from them. And that was very quick. That was a rapid turnaround. The same people who were praising Kroger for making children get a fluid injected into their body were now attacking them. It felt like moments later.
Is that because Kroger is a business as opposed to an individual? Whereas we can be a little wishy-washy about corporate action because different leadership and their company culture can kind of turn on the dime. Are we not a bit more forgiving of individuals? Especially if they're doing things that aren't as potentially corruptible, right? Like, you talk about the jab and like bodily autonomy and things like that. But if you take it down to something as just simple as like masks and mask mandates, if masks are at worst no help, is it not worth the shot to say, okay, in case they are a help, let's just go along to get along?
Yeah, I mean that's your choice to make, I guess. But compliance isn't going to get you anything. I'd like to point out that at worst was not a zero effect. It was, psychological effects on children, breathing problems due to, mold and whatnot being created in the moist masks. A lot of problems came from over masking, and I think the worst is the psychological effect and the speech issues that we're seeing with the children now coming to fruition. It wasn't something that they weren't warned about by people who were really thinking outside of just COVID. There's a lot of people saying this is going to happen, and it is happening. But that aside, what will going along to get along get you? It'll get you through today till the next thing. That's what it'll do. It'll get you through until the next thing, and then the next thing. And then every time that there's somebody who is fighting against the next tyranny and you don't stand up and fight with them, if you believe that that's what you should do, Um, and then they get taken down. That's one less person. That's one less person that's going to be there to fight for you when they overstep their boundary with you. Where it's something that I'm just not going to do. But all those people that you believed were doing the right thing, but didn't want to rustle anything up, you just they're gone. They're out. There's nobody left to defend you. So that's what it ends up getting you in the long run.
Do you not think that even the human element of this could stand in contrast to that? Yes, the overarching nebulous state doesn't care about you and doesn't care about Kroger, but maybe your community does, and leaders of your community who also are going along to get along will recognize that you have been a generous part of the community. You've been giving of your time and resources, and you're willing to sacrifice for the greater good, let's say. Is that not something that other humans would recognize and likely reward?
Well, there's no reward. It's all taking. So, yes, I mean they're always gonna say, "Oh, you gave it freely. You're the good guy." And then we had to force these people to get it, take their liberty away. But you did it freely, so we're gonna, you've done your job. But then the next thing they take, they're like, you did it freely, you've done your job. And the next thing they take, you did it freely, you've done your job. And then, eventually you'll walk into an oven when you're not useful anymore. You did it freely, you did your job, and then it'll be lights out. But you'll always have been praised as one of the good guys. Did it freely. A lot of people walked into those ovens in Nazi Germany. Not ovens, but the little gas showers. A lot of people who really suspected they weren't going to come out the other end said, it'll be better if I just walk in here freely. And maybe, that's their choice to make. I'm not saying that to you, it's not something that you need to weigh your options. I mean, there's a lot of things that I do that I know is wrong, complying with the state to survive. I weigh it against my, the life that I can provide for me and my family. So,
well, and I think that's the point that I'm making, is that some you have to do to survive,
mm-hmm.
and you have to weigh those options.
Mm-hmm.
And some we've all agreed to do as a collective because we've weighed the options.
Right. But what I'm saying is compliance will never get you anything. It will get you, you just get by. You've lost what you've complied with. I'm surviving because I pay my taxes, right? They don't come and take them and shoot and take all my family shit, right? I didn't get anything. I didn't get to keep it. I am keeping it because of that. But it's not anything that I'm getting. They didn't own it to begin with. It's mine. They've taken it.
But wouldn't you argue that what you're getting in that situation is better than the alternative?
I'm not getting anything. I'm choosing them taking this much or taking this much. I'm not getting anything. Getting would mean they're giving me something. But they're taking in both options. I'm giving this amount, so I don't give this amount.
But it's a choice, right? You're not. You have every ability, physically, and of sound mind, to not pay those taxes.
Yeah.
But you choose to comply.
Yes, ask Peter
Because there
Schiff
was-
what they did to his father. And, John McAfee. Ask his wife what happened to him. Yeah.
Right. So you're making a conscious choice that is a strategic choice.
Okay.
Can that not be said of the collective? Where in order for us to have a better outcome, albeit still a bad one, we can have a better outcome if we comply.
If you have somebody who's going to murder your children, if you don't give them one of your children to murder, I mean, that's what we're talking about here. You give one of your children up, and then the rest of your children survive.
It's the trolley problem, right?
That's not what I'm fighting for. That's not what I'm here to promote. I'm just saying the problem is there's a person going to kill your children. There's a person that will... Our government that exists right now will kill your child if they don't pay taxes. It will get to that point. It will escalate to that point if your child continues to resist paying taxes. That will happen to your own kid. That's the world we live in right now. And it's because people comply. If we didn't, they don't have enough force to do that to your child. If people didn't comply, there would be enough. There's so many more of us. I'm just saying, take the power away from them. The more it becomes common for people to see you not comply with the small things, the things that you can get away with at the moment, the more common that becomes, the bigger the things you cannot comply will be. And eventually you just won't have to comply at all. And you might not see that happen in your lifetime where you live or whatever, or anywhere. Maybe it doesn't happen anywhere, which I doubt that. But maybe you don't get to see it. But the closer we can get to that, the safer your kids are. Because I don't want my kid living in a world where they can go, oh, I don't want you to steal 5 months of my life every year. So, no. And then they kill him. I don't want that for my child. And by complying with everything, I'm only making that worse. Strengthening that hold on his life, on his future.
So where do you draw the line?
Everybody has to do it differently. It's because it matters where you live. There's things you can get away with here that you can't get away with there. There's things that you can do. There's technologies that advance. There's people that can help you. There's things you can learn. And you can expand what you can get away with not complying. The more and more interested you become in doing that. I'm learning new ways to not comply every day, man. I love it. Every time I find something I can get away with, I'm so excited. It's like it's become like a fucking Where's Waldo? The new thing I can get away with. Like I'm looking for Waldo. the new page, and it's so much fun. I'm like a kid every time I learn something new.
You've gamified non-compliance.
I have, and there's so many things that I'm like, fuck, man. If I was a single man and didn't have a family, I would totally do that one. But that one's too risky for me with my family right now, you know. So I don't do that one. But it doesn't mean I don't tell people about it. You know?
I mean, is there a better forum for all of our single listeners? What should they be doing?
Well, there's a lot of I think financial things are probably the best, the most overarching, because yes, government prints money to do with what it will, which inflates our money. But the more you can get yourself out of the US dollar, the better you are towards protecting yourself against the inflation and the eventual crash of the dollar. And you're also making it harder for them to just print and get away with it. I don't know, dude. I drove 7 years without a driver's license. Like, that's seems silly, right? But like, I'm fucking proud of that. 7 years I went without having a driver's license. Drove every fucking day. I drove to court to try to get my license back. Set my motorcycle helmet right up on the desk. And when he asked if I drove, I said, no, I rode.